Yu-Gi-Oh! Desperately needs a new anime. Yeah, that's right. You guys heard it from me here first. Actually, not really. This is the biggest discussion that's been going on for a while now, and this video is inspired by A Plus Amplifier. Shout out to Paul and the team over there. They're doing great things. And even though I'm in my mid-30s and I don't watch as many anime as I did in my teenage years and my early 20s, even when I was a kid, because like myself, a lot of you guys grew up on the original Yu-Gi-Oh anime, watching Yu-Gi go through the Duelist Kingdom arc up into Battle City. I personally fell out of the show around the time they started doing the whole Save the World Pharaoh arc. I personally always loved the grinding and the tournament aspect of the Yu-Gi-Oh anime, and that's also something I kind of liked about the Yu-Gi-Oh GX as well, which is why I think Yu-Gi-Oh GX is very popular. Is because it was kind of more like a grind, but they were in school, so they kind of hit it from a different angle. And I feel like the last few Yu-Gi-Oh animes I've checked out were all meh. You watch them one or two times, and that was it. Even with Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains, which was very popular, I remember when it came out, people were talking about it almost every other week. I think the Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything channel started his channel around the time Vrains came out, and that dude got almost a million subs or over 100K subs. So when you talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! Animes and everything like that, a lot of them just didn't capture the magic that they captured back in the late 90s, early 2000s when a lot of us grew up with the show. And I guess the reason being is because I just think they took the soul out of the anime personally. Now, a lot of you guys grew up with different Yu-Gi-Oh! Some of you guys started with 5Ds. Some of you guys, like my nephew, started with Zexal. And that kind of got a lot of you guys into the anime, into the game. And that's cool. But there's something different about the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime in the GX era. And I think that's the biggest thing that's I'm talking about in this video is marketing. So around that time, Konami was ran by Upper Deck, what for the trading card game that is, and they had a lot of different promotional events, which I'm gonna talk about in a different video. Like for example, with the old Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime, they had the mall tours, which was an insane promotional event. I remember personally not going to a mall tour. I didn't even know about them at that time, even though I did go to locals, ironically enough. However, do remember them advertising Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot on TV and even locals in Chicago. So I remember just seeing different Yu-Gi-Oh! Stuff everywhere on the news, things like that. People calling it the devil card game. It was a big controversy with the Catholic Church and Yu-Gi-Oh! In the early 2000s. Crazy stuff I remember from being a kid. But everything after that didn't capture the same. It's kind of like when you catch lightning in a jar. Same thing with Pokemon. Pokemon was lightning in a jar as well. I don't. It's kind of hard to remake the first of something that was insanely popular because even though Yu-Gi-Oh is not the first card game, right? There are the first real card game goes to Magic the Gathering, which is kind of like a. I'm not even gonna say Magic. It's like a dividend off of Dungeons and Dragons. You can kind of say Magic the Gathering, in my opinion, based on what I've learned, is loosely based off of some Dungeons and Dragons type stuff, but scaled into a card game format. So Yu-Gi-Oh is the first of the kind to have like an actual good show that caught American eyes, and it got a lot of us still playing so hyped into it in our 20s to 30s and going into 40s, so maybe even 60. I know a lot of you guys play in your 60s, so maybe it was something to that devil card game. They got us hooked, line and sinker from a kid. All in all, Yu-Gi-Oh is a fun game. Now, the reason why, if you guys haven't figured out the reason why the anime is important is, while I was just yapping about the facts of the anime and the influence it had on the early 2000s, it brings players in. And since we don't have any promotional things like from Upper Deck anymore because of Konami lawsuit and things like that, and Konami is actually running the card game again, they're not really doing as much cool stuff that's promotional for the card game, which does reflect off the anime. But I'm gonna try to say more to the anime on this video. The anime Yu-Gi-Oh was really good. Like I said, the tournament arc. I just don't think the newest animes came out. It captured the same energy of the originals, which is why Konami kind of don't know what to do with the Yu-Gi-Oh anime now because they just dropped the Chronicle thing, right? I watched it. I watched it last week, and I gotta say, that Chronicle thing was entertaining, but it was only about 4 minutes. About where you guys are right now. This video is like 4 minutes in, and the Chronicle thing was literally about 4 minutes, maybe less, give or take. Now, when Konami announced the Chronicle series, I personally was hyped. I was one of those guys that was like, yes, finally a new Yu-Gi-Oh anime that's actually based on lore. So we get to deep delve and dive into monster lore and maybe it's just getting tuned with I think that was a good pivot for the Yu-Gi-Oh franchise because let's face the fact, who's ever writing Yu-Gi-Oh in Japan, like the anime series, because right now they're doing like the Rush Duel anime, and it appeals to Japanese audiences, obviously, because Rush Duel is a thing in Japan. However, in America, it ain't really hidden like that. Like my son's 12. His generation can give two shits about Yu-Gi-Oh. I know a lot of kids in his age group, obviously, because I have a kid myself, and they don't care about Yu-Gi-Oh at all. Even the kids that grew up with Zexal, like my nephew and a lot of you guys like Yu-Gi-Oh, but you guys aren't really into Yu-Gi-Oh. Like you guys aren't gonna be like going to locals weekly and grinding. I mean, I know there's a few people who do, but there's not a lot of teenagers at my locals. Most people at my locals are like at the youngest 18, at the other youngest like 22, 23. After that, it's like a big gap of like 28, 30, 35, 40. So there's a gap where where the Yu-Gi-Oh animes came out with like Zexal, 5Ds, things like that. It just ain't got its hooks and synced them in like the original did. And I think it's just bad writing, poor writing. I think Konami or Shueisha, who was ever in charge of that department, I think it's Shueisha because they handle all the anime stuff, needs to really get some good writers into the Yu-Gi-Oh anime. Look at Beyblade X. Beyblade X, if you guys don't know, is a dope ass game. If you guys are a fan of the Beyblade anime from the 90s, like I was, it's a spin top game, way more entertaining than Yu Gi Oh, way more fun than Yu Gi Oh. I've been to a few Beyblade tournaments myself recently, and I gotta say, man, I had a blast. And I did it with my son, but it's super entertaining. So the actual spin top dynamic of Beyblade is entertaining. But in addition to that, what got the people hooked on Beyblade is the freaking anime. When the Beyblade Blurs anime came out, and I know a lot of you guys can attest to this who may have watched Beyblade with the original series, the Metal Fight series, and they had a few duds that didn't sell, but they fixed the right in the Beyblade department because when the Burst series came out, dog, man, fire anime, bro. I'm watching it with my son. Sometimes I'm watching it by myself because it's literally that good. They had cool characters, mature story arcs, and guess what it was about? The grind, getting better. Yeah, they had some small save the world stuff in there, but most of the stuff was tournament grinding, practicing, getting better, dope ass intros with rock music. I'm just like, yo, this is the shit. And then we get Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's kind of like trying to be like the early 2000s, not really, don't know what it wants to do. It's dueling, but it's not really dueling. It's dueling for goofy reasons. Like, we're going to duel for this girl's phone number. We're going to duel in order to rob the bank. So if I duel you and I beat you like the robber, it's unrealistic bullshit. But in the Beyblade anime, and I'm referencing these things coincide together, so hang in here with me. I'm making a point. Beyblade and Yu-Gi-Oh are pretty much supposed to be the same target audience, right? Because they came out for the same thing. Yu-Gi-Oh was like 6+, Beyblade is like 6+. They ran the same thing. A lot of crossover between the Beyblade and Yu-Gi-Oh community. Actually, the judge from my most recent Beyblade tournament I go to, he's a fan of the channel. He used to watch me back when he played Yu-Gi-Oh. And I met a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh players at the event who recognized me for me playing Yu-Gi-Oh, but they see me and playing Beyblade. They didn't. A lot of people don't know I'm a big ass Beyblade fanatic because the anime storylines have always been consistent. The writer of Beyblade, bro, I'm kissing your ass because you guys know what you're doing with your property and your intellectual property, and you guys understand your core audience, which is tournament grinding. So back to Yu-Gi-Oh, I personally think if we had a Yu-Gi-Oh anime and focused it on the actual tournament grind, like you have a main character, maybe he's a dweeb, high schooler, or whatever, goes to locals. I mean, you can add some spice to it, like make it like virtual reality locals, or make it be like Master Duel or something digital that kids can relate to. Cause you can't just do tabletop card games, obviously, right? You can do it. You just gotta make an anime work. We gotta add a little anime spin to it. But you can have something like a guy, main character, goes to locals, goes to high school, have his high school drama, goes back to locals, finishes tournament, prep for regionals. Whole first season can be him prepping for regionals, goes to regionals, scrubs out, gets really close, barely make it to get his national invite, but he scrubs out. But there's another regionals at the end for the last episode. Goes to the second regionals, actually gets an invite, but he doesn't top 8. Season 2, the road to nationals. Have him go to nationals. Boom. Scrub out. Start it over. New set drops. and just evolve it like that and have entertaining storylines. Also, similar to like an anime called like Initial D. Initial D is another anime that you guys know it's a car racing anime. And even though car racing is kind of like a niche thing, like Yu-Gi-Oh, is entertaining. You can know what's going on, but the best part about Initial D anime was not necessarily car races. Those were the icing, the cherry on the cake, but they had good character development, mature storylines. Like the main character, I remember his girl literally like was cheating on him with an older man. It was insane. I'm not saying put that kind of perverted stuff in Yu-Gi-Oh. I mean they can. I won't judge. Make it 13 plus. However, with that being said, I just think Yu-Gi-Oh needs to get away from a lot more of the shonen esque kid stuff and invest better writing into mature stuff. 'Cause if Beyblade can do it, Yu-Gi-Oh can do it. And I know you guys may say, well, Beyblade is more entertaining, and as it is more entertaining, it gets more of a mass draw. That's true, but at the same time, I think Yu-Gi-Oh can as well, if written correctly. Like if it captured the lightning back in the '90s and early 2000s, it can capture it again. I know a lot of millennials, girls and guys, who don't play Yu-Gi-Oh but have heard of Yu-Gi-Oh. Girls I've dated, when I told them about Yu-Gi-Oh, they're like, "Oh, I remember that show from when I was a kid. That's pretty cool that you would play that stuff still." So in conclusion, man, Konami needs a new Yu-Gi-Oh needs a new anime. I don't think we need a new game mechanic, but it needs a new anime. They can introduce a new mechanic, whatever. I just think that if I was to write it, it'd be like a story arc, grinding arc. But also too, I will also have it launched coincide with the Chronicles, but I'll bump the Chronicles up to like 15-minute, 20-minute episodes and make it an anthology series. Make it like something that's because obviously you can't focus on, it's so much stuff in the Yu-Gi-Oh world. You can't really focus on one archetype because you want to appease to everybody. So it could be like an anthology series. Like one episode is about Solomon Grace, one episode is about heroes, one episode is about ABC XYZ 123, and then let's say one episode about all the monsters that Yugi have in the Yu-Gi-Oh world. And then if you got a fan favorite episode like a hero episode, like the favorite episode, focus a little more on that. And then if it does really good, give it a spinoff series. That's how you get a spinoff series. So and they can run it alongside an actual regular main anime. So that way you have a lore anime that give you lore about the monsters, and you can release new cards amongst that. And you can also have an actual Yu-Gi-Oh grinding tournament arc anime and make it a little mature. And it's like make it young, but still mature that young adults, like 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, can get it and watch it and be entertained. Like my son's generation, they're big on One Piece. One Piece and other animes like Jujutsu Kaisen are huge on that. And the reason being is because they're mature, but they're also for teenagers. Focus it more on the teenager coming. I guarantee you guys, you have a freaking banger. So, in conclusion, man, I want to see Yu-Gi-Oh grow. I want to see Yu-Gi-Oh go another 20 plus years. And I think if we have a good anime, we can do that. So, post your thoughts and opinions about this video. Comment that down below. Like the video if you're new here. Want to subscribe for more? Subscribe for more. We're almost at 23K subs. It's your boy Rogue Hero, and I'm signing out. I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Peace.